And now execute this code. It asks me how many names do I want to enter. I say 3 names, for example. The first name is Azra, second name is Max, and the third one is Lina. And as you can see, it will print all of them for me in a row. By the end of this video, you will be able to build such program by using arrays in CSharp. So first of all, what even is an array? We already know how to make simple variables like this. But what if we want to store 20 names or 30 names? Surely we don't write it like this. This is dirty and unprofessional. So instead, CSharp gives us something called array. Array is a type of variable that can store multiple values. And all of those values should have the same data type. For example, the arrays of class names store the names of students of that class. Think about array like a row of boxes. And each box only can hold one value directly. How to declare an array? First, you write the data type of your array following with the square brackets. Here we say a string square brackets means we want an array of strings. And then we write the name of our array. Here we say names. We say equal new and we write the data type of our array again with the square brackets. But this time between square brackets we should clarify how many columns we want our array to have. Here we say 5 means our array names has 5 strings inside it and all of them are empty now. So basically our array has 5 index now. How index works? Each value or item inside an array has a specific index. So index means the position of that value or item inside the array. Important point, in C# and most of the programming languages, the index starts from 0. So like our case, if we have an array that has 5 items, the index goes like this, from 0 to 4. As you can see, there is no box 5 for this array, because counting starts at 0. How to put values inside an array? Let's make a string array that stores the names of 5 students for us. And now I want to add my names into our array. So I say names, square bracket, 0 equals Azra, and semicolon. I continue with names, square brackets, 1 equals Max, names, square brackets, 2 equals Lina, names, square brackets, 3 equals James, names, square brackets, 4, for example, equals David. And semicolon at last. Our array has 5 blocks and it's a start from 0 to 4. So when I say names square bracket 0 equals Azra, I say the first item or box equals Azra inside the array. And you can also change that value later too with that method. Reading values from an array. If I want to print the second value of my array, for example, I say console.writeLine and write the name of our variable, which is names here. And between these square brackets, I write 1. Why 1? We wanted the second item. Because as I mentioned before, index starts at 0. So 1 here means the second item. And as you can see, if I execute this code, it will print the max for us in the console. And as you probably know, console.writeLine prints everything that we write between these parentheses. And by the way, if we enter an index that isn't in our array, for example 10 here, as you can see we get an error called unhandled exception. Creating an array with initial values. You can also write this code this way. Curly braces, and we say Azra, Max, Lina, James, and David. And we can delete this. And now if I execute this code, as you can see, it works perfectly like it worked before. Here you created an array that already has initial values, and of course you can change that values later on. Here I say names1 equals Mia, for example. I say console.writeLine names1 again and execute this code. And as you can see, I got Mia for the second value. So don't worry, you can always change them. Looping through an array. This is where arrays became really powerful. Using array and loop together makes your code clean and professional. We have our array names. Now let's print all of the names inside our array with the 4. I say 4 int I equals 0. And my condition is until I is less than names dot length. And I say I++ for our step counter. Console.writeLine and I say the I+1 and parentheses close and I say name is and plus and I say names square brackets and I say I. For a better look I say this. Names.length gives us the amount of columns that we have inside our names array. I write I+1 here because as you can see I starts from 0 just like index. And I don't want it to say name 0 equals that, it doesn't sound proper. So now I execute my code and as you can see it works perfectly. The important point here was putting I between square brackets to read the values from the array. Final challenge, storage names. Here is your challenge. Ask the user how many names does she wants to storage and make an array for it. and get that many names from user and store it inside the array that you just built. And at last print all of them in the console in order. Pause the video and test yourself and see if you can make it yourself. Okay, I hope you made it, but if you didn't, it's okay, you just need a little practice. So here it is how we make such program. Console.writeLine. How many names do you want to store? And the next line I say int q equals int dot parse, and I say console dot readline parentheses and semicolon. So now we got a number from user. Now let's make an error. String square brackets names equal new string square brackets, and I say q. So now we make an array with the amount of columns that user wants, and I say for int I equals 0 until I is less than names dot length, say I plus plus, and I say console dot writeLine enter plus parentheses I plus 1, and I say parentheses name space. I need a space here. Okay. Now I say names I equals console dot readline, and we get a value and store it inside the ith column. And now I want to read names, so I make another for and I say int I equals 0 until I is less than names dot length. I say I plus plus, just like the previous one. Now inside the curly braces I say console dot writeLine the plus parentheses I plus 1. I say plus name is, on the next line I say plus names square brackets, and I say I. And now execute this code. It asks me how many names do I want to enter. I say 3 names, for example. The first name is Azra, second name is Max, and the third one is Lina. And as you can see, it will print all of them for me in a row. I put this code in the comments and description of this video. You just watched the 8th episode of free CSharp tutorial for the beginners. You can watch the full playlist from here. And by the way, I have a Discord server which is a friendly community for programmers. You can check it through the link below in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe if this video helped you even a little. Thanks for watching and see you in the next video.
I don't know what you want. Let's have a